National and Labour are putting together their negotiating teams, hoping to win over Winston Peters and form the next government. Both parties are picking their people carefully. National is likely to use Jerry Brownlee and Todd McClay. Labour's looking at David Parker, Annette King and potentially Sir Michael Cullen. The Transport Agency faced off with angry and frustrated locals in Palmerston North last night over the future of the Manawatu Gorge Road. When an agency staffer tried to wind up the public meeting after outlining the 13 replacement options and taking a few questions, locals demanded more time. And there was rousing applause when one man stood up saying the meeting had to be transparent so all could hear what the agency had to say. Vanuatu has declared a state of emergency on the island of Ambai, where a volcano has started erupting, belching ash across much of the island. Half the island's population of about 10,000 people is being evacuated to 15 emergency centres. North Korea's foreign minister is accusing the American president of declaring war on his country, and Pyongyang reserves the right to shoot down US bombers, even if they're not in its airspace. The two countries have been trading insults in recent days, and the UN Secretary-General is warning the rise in rhetoric increases the risk of miscalculations. In Puerto Rico, the entire population is still without water, electricity or telephone services as it faces a growing crisis in the wake of Hurricane Maria. A cracked dam remains in danger of collapsing and bringing more flooding to parts of the island. And some people wanting compensation for illness they've suffered because of last year's Campylobacter outbreak in Havelock North say applying for it has been a bureaucratic nightmare. They say in the end the paperwork was just too hard and they gave up. That's the news. Today's weather with Met Service around the country. Kaitaia and Whangarei have rain from late morning. Could be heavy. Kaitaia 19 degrees, Whangarei 21. Auckland rain at times, possibly heavy, 20. Hamilton potentially heavy rain, easing to showers this evening, 19. Tauranga, Whakatane and Rotorua, rain from early afternoon might be heavy, 20 for Tauranga, Whakatane 19, Rotorua 17. Gisborne overcast with occasional rain from early afternoon, 22. Napier and Hastings outbreaks of rain till evening, 23. Taupo and Taumarunui rain might be heavy, easing to showers this evening, 16. New Plymouth possibly heavy and thundery rain, then evening showers and 17. Whanganui and Palmerston North occasional rain might be thundery, easing to afternoon showers 19. Levin and Kapiti rain might be heavy and thundery, easing to showers this afternoon. Levin 16, 17 for Kapiti. Masterton rain easing to showers early afternoon, clearing by evening 19. Wellington rain easing to showers this morning, clearing this afternoon when the gale nor'wester gusting 120 k's eases, 16 the high. Blenheim occasional rain clears this evening, 19. Nelson rain clears this afternoon and 17. Westport rain could be heavy and thundery, easing to showers late afternoon, 16. Greymouth and Hokitika rain easing to showers this afternoon, 15. Kaikoura rain at times, clearing this evening, 20. Christchurch is fine with high cloud, then a late shower, 20. Ashburton and Timaru high cloud, an evening shower or two, 19. Oamaru a fine morning, showers from afternoon, 19. Wanaka and Queenstown a few showers from afternoon, 17 the high for Wanaka, 16 for Queenstown. Alexandra and Dunedin fine till showers from early afternoon, 18. Invercargill showers from late morning and 14 degrees. It's 26 minutes to 8.
You're listening to Morning Report, and Jacinda Ardern will sit down with senior MPs and the Labour Party leadership today to work out who will negotiate with Winston Peters' New Zealand First. Labour boosted its share of the vote on election night to 36%, giving it 13 extra MPs with 384,000 special votes. That's 15% of the total still to be counted. Well, that's enough to form a government if both the Greens and New Zealand First come on board. Let's talk now with Jacinda Ardern. She's in the Wellington studio. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you just confirm for us, are you still giving Winston Peters a bit of breathing space, or will you be making a call to him in the next day or so?
Oh, look, we've had our Chief of Staff reach out to their team, but yeah, I have given a bit of space. That's certainly the sense that I was hearing, that was something that the party was hoping to have, and I absolutely respect the need to consult with with members of their senior team, as we'll be doing on our side. But we've certainly reached out and said, whenever you're ready to talk, we're certainly available.
So are you waiting for his call now then?
Oh, look, my expectation is that when they're ready to sit down, that we'll take their call at that point. But certainly the offer's been made. But I absolutely respect the need to talk to caucus colleagues and the like. That's certainly what we're doing in the meantime.
On the score of who's going to be on your team, David Parker, Annette King, Sir Michael Cullen named as on the negotiating team. Is that the case?
Lots of speculation. Lots of speculation.
Right,
I'm not going to confirm that today, but that is speculative. I want to make sure.
Would it be fair to say that it's wrong speculation or correct speculation?
That again is clarifying the speculation. I want to take the time to talk to my senior team. So our top 10 MPs, our front bench, will be meeting today, and also our party leadership. And I want to confirm with them first before I do so publicly.
Okay, but those are the sorts of names, the sorts of calibre of people you would be expecting to be on the team.
And it will be a small team as a starting point.
Will there be a wider team of people you'll be taking advice from, or will it really be kept very small, very in-house?
Yeah, look, there is a bit of a expectation, of course, in the past there being wider reference teams that you certainly will come away and bounce some of the suggestions, particularly with your spokespersons and with other members of the team. And so, yeah, there's past record where that's the way that these things have worked.
Okay, will it be the same team to negotiate both with New Zealand First and the Green Party?
That's not something that I've actually formalised yet. I can't see why we wouldn't bring in different people for different conversations. But again, that's something I want to discuss with the team today.
Okay, so I know you've spoken with the Green Party already. You've been in touch with James Shaw. Have you agreed any of that approach towards New Zealand First with them at all?
No. That's something that we'll independently manage. My view is that we'll engage directly with New Zealand First, and we'll engage directly with the Greens. These are two separate sets of negotiations that need to be had.
At what stage do you anticipate them becoming three-way talks?
Oh, look, it may not need to. Really, I'd be guided by the expectation of the other party leaders in that regard.
So you could potentially put a government together without the three leaders getting in the room together before it happens?
Potentially you could, but I'd actually seek the guidance on what the other party leaders would like to do in that regard. Okay,
would you, I suppose that does mean that you can have very different conversations with the two different sides. Would you lock the Greens out of government if that was a condition that was laid down to you in one of those meetings with New Zealand First?
Look, that's obviously not something that I have an expectation over at this point. We need to involve both parties, but I want to make sure that we have conversations around the expectations of each party leader about how they envision their party being involved in a coalition. I want them to set those expectations first, and so that's not something that I'm going to negotiate in the public, but I'm sure that there'll be an expectation on both sides that they have quite senior involvement.
But I guess the Greens may be easier to manage should they be potentially on the cross benches and it would be a Labour New Zealand First government. Is that something that you could anticipate being the situation, or will it be a three-way coalition?
I think it does them a disservice just to say, well, they'd be easier to manage and therefore would leave them out. I don't think that's the way that I would frame that relationship. They've had a decent percentage of New Zealanders who have voted for them with the expectation that they have a role to play.
But you can't see any way where it wouldn't be a three-way coalition of some form, where the three would have, for example, cabinet ministers or at least ministers
of some sort.
And
again, there are iterations of that, inside cabinet, outside cabinet. That's what needs to be negotiated. Our role is to make sure that we do that with both sides and find something that's agreeable together.
Okay, so you don't see the Greens potentially as something you can push them under the bus as a means to the end?
Oh, I don't think that's something that would be a respectful way to negotiate at this point, to allow them just to be treated as the easier part of the negotiations. I think there's an expectation from voters that we give due respect to the role that they have to play in this, given the proportion of the vote that they carry.
Okay, how does it end up that when you're 10 points short of national, as Labour currently is standing, how does that give you the moral authority to be Prime Minister?
Yeah, and this is an MMP environment. Look, in the past, there has been an expectation that the party that holds the largest vote tends to lead those negotiations. However, we've had in this election the outcome where the majority of New Zealanders voted against the status quo, and that is what gives us the mandate to negotiate, and that is what we're now undertaking.
That's a different position to the one that I think you took in in the leader interview with Guy and Espiner a few days ago, though, isn't it?
Oh, I certainly pointed out at that time that there's been in the past an expectation, and I continue to maintain that, an expectation that the larger party does tend to kick off, and in the past has been successful in those negotiations. But I've also maintained that we've got a requirement and a responsibility where the majority of votes have landed to undertake those negotiations too, and that is what we're doing.
How do you see your chances at this stage? I mean, would you characterise it as 50-50? A bit better, a bit worse?
Yeah, look, because it's hard for me to say before we've even had a chance to sit down at the negotiating table. I'll have a much clearer view once we have the ability to do that. But I won't be then coming out and rating our chances mid-negotiation. I think that probably compromises our ability to have a respectful dialogue with both parties.
A lot has been said about bottom lines with Winston Peters particularly. Are there any bottom lines that you would give up to get into power?
I want to preserve and reserve our position around the negotiating table. The only one that I've been drawn on is the one that from the very beginning we said didn't align with our policy platform, and that was around the Māori seats, because we've always taken a strong view that when it comes to that question, that's an issue for Māori voters, not a general referenda.
OK, so no referendum on the Māori seats. You would give away power if that was what was asked of you by New Zealand First?
From the beginning when that first came out, we took a strong position on it. We've maintained that position.
OK. It's been a tumultuous few weeks for you, particularly a tumultuous few days. How are you feeling after Saturday?
Oh, I would characterise it more as an exciting period in New Zealand's political history that I'm privileged to have been involved in. There hasn't been a lot of time for reflection straight off the bat of the election. Of course, I think both parties probably want to make sure that we pursue these negotiations with urgency, but of course maintaining that the specials need to come in. So trying to make sure that we form a stable government as quickly as we're able to do. So the time for reflection will come after that.
And I guess there will also be reflection around some of the what ifs. I mean, what if New Zealand First goes with National?
Again, that's something I'll reflect on after the negotiations have concluded, because that's certainly not a dead cert at this point. We've got to make sure that we act responsibly in trying to make sure that we act on the mandate we've been given from voters to form that stable government as quickly as we can. Look, in a month's time, I'll probably sit back and reflect on the election, but for now, there's more work to do.
Thank you very much for your time. That's Jacinda Ardern, the leader of the Labour Party, at 17 minutes to 8.
Well, during the election campaign, Mr Peters said that moving Auckland's container port